Whew, there's an old saying over here at the SCP Foundation: once you pop, you can't stop. And whilst it would take the innate immortality that comes with being a member of the O5 Council to truly appreciate the extent of that idiom, it remains the same for us Top 5 Scary fans of all things SCP. We recently dove back into the anomalous archives of one of the most intriguing collaborative writing projects ever conceived, and you guys seem to gobble the whole thing up quicker than 096 at a selfie convention, so in that case, I guess we better take another gander. Hello horror fans, what's going on, and once again welcome back to the Scary channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. As per usual, I'll be your horror host Jack Finch. Today we curiously take a look at the top 5 scariest SCP monsters you need to read about. Part 2. Roll the clip. For the curious amongst you, that particular clip was from 2012's The Cabin in the Woods, and for fans of both the SCP Foundation and Top 5 Scary Videos, you'll know that movie in particular has become somewhat of a meme, given the fact that the latter half of Cabin in the Woods is pretty much the SCP Foundation on the silver screen. And whilst there are many SCP fan-made movies going that deserve your attention, I don't know, Cabin in the Woods still brings an anomalous smile to my face. Also, it's just an awesome movie, so any excuse really. Give it a watch. Anyway, on with the show. Kicking off at number 5, SCP-280. And when we're talking about monsters, what better way to begin than with a little anomalous humanoid smoke monster whose corporeal form appears out of thin air to wreak havoc just for the sake of it. Thankfully for us though, all it takes is a good old-fashioned flashlight to subdue this creature and shine the light on its all-encompassing evil to banish it back to whence it came. But if you don't have a flashlight or any other manner of illumination, holy moly, you're in for a pretty terrible time. As the record states, SCP-280 is a black human-shaped mass with 2 large white eyes where its head should be, and 2 hands with very long and very thin fingers. When we talk about just straight up shadow monsters, some of the themes encapsulated in the SCP Foundation are pretty few and far between actually. But what is so remarkable and terrifying here is that SCP-280 is literally the monster that may or may not be lurking in your closet or under your bed at night. It harkens on that theme of hiding under a sheet with a flashlight in the dead of night, just this time it doesn't care about your feelings and it will kill you. You see, SCP-280 appears to be wholly composed of matter that can gain or lose its corporeal form. The matter itself is incredibly black, almost Vanta black, and resembles smoke as it dissipates in and out of existence. When in its vicinity, SCP-280 will slowly move toward any human beings and attempt to attack them. In fact, SCP-280 appears to sense human life from wherever it is, and no limit has yet been found on this ability. And once it finds its prey, it will use its hands to pull and tear at the subject's body, resulting in massive physical trauma, always resulting in a vile and gruesome death. 280 does not eat, breathe, or sleep. It does not ingest any of the tissue of its victims or appear to have any other use for its murderous ways. It kills, then it disappears in a puff of smoke, and it is literally the worst possible thing you could ever imagine at a slumber party. Bring a flashlight. Swinging in at number 4, SCP-354. And similar to many of our other entries on the previous part 1 of this list, SCP-354 is a bit of a monstrous anomaly in the sense that it isn't just pertinent to one monster, but a whole host of them. Well, potentially anyway, because really, no one truly knows the full extent of this particular entry. As the record states, 354 is a pool of red liquid discovered in the polar areas of northern Canada. The liquid in question is that of a consistency similar to that of human blood, hence the colloquial name in the Foundation of Blood Pond. Now, that's a death metal band if I've ever heard one. You see, despite its nomenclature, SCP-354 is explicitly not of any sort of biological nature. In fact, the pool does not have any definitive banks, and it appears that the soil of the area mixes with the liquid until at a certain given point there is just no more soil and the liquid and ground become mostly solid. The deeper the pool goes, the denser the liquid becomes, and if SCP-354 has a bottom, it has yet to be reached. And here's the real kicker, and here's the reason it deserves our monstrous attention. You see, periodically a number of entities have emerged from the pool, extremely hostile and incredibly dangerous, that have attempted to escape from the enclosure. These have varied from a giant bat, a bear-sized mammalian creature covered in razor-sharp spines that was virtually bulletproof and had to be vaporized via napalm. SCP-354 have spat out humanoid reptiles, giant tentacular sea creatures, feline creatures made out of both pure magma and solid ice, even what appeared to be a metallic humanoid that resembled the Terminator. Really, the extent of SCP-354 is kind of staggering, and the actual concept of its anomalous design is incredibly intriguing when we relate it to several other entries that appear to function in a similar manner, actually. Essentially, it's a pool of blood in the high Arctic of northern Canada that seems to spit out the most terrifying entities that you could ever imagine, and well, no one knows why. Yeah. This one is a particular favourite of mine. Next up at number 3, SCP-1730. And talking of favourites, this one kind of takes the cake when it comes to anomalous locations that appear to spit out all manners of horrifying entities. Have you ever heard the phrase, "what happened to Site-13"? Well, that's because it's one of the most elaborate cover-ups that has ever occurred in the Foundation's history, and as the darkest stain on its even darker track record, you'll certainly understand that that is kind of saying something. It's no secret that the Foundation is hella messed up. They know that, we know that, and yet they still want to cover this particular entry up. You see, whilst there is far more to it, first let's give it the exposure that it deserves. As the record states, SCP-1730 is a large complex of structures 15 kilometers of the US-Mexico border, located within the Big Bend Ranch State Park, discovered by the Foundation on June 5th of an undisclosed year. Due to the isolated nature of the complex and the low survival rate of individuals that come into contact with it, it is unknown how long the site has laid abandoned and undiscovered before it was brought to life. And you might be thinking, hang on, how could the SCP Foundation have a site that it didn't even know about? And well, here's where things get timey-wimey, because SCP-1730 is actually from an alternate dimension where the SCP Foundation is the embodiment of all evil instead of the grey administrators that we know them to be. You see, in this parallel universe, instead of safely containing the anomalies that the Foundation secure, their staff and researchers brutally torture and experiment on them before dissolving them into an anomalous toxic black sludge referred to as the body pit. If you think D-class personnel are treated badly in our universe, then well, put it this way, in this parallel universe, their doctors don't even have names, just ID numbers. You see, Site-13 was originally overseen by a psychopath named Elliot Emerson, but you see, all of these terrifying creatures that were spawned from these vile experiments, eventually they revolted against this human overlord, and well, the lunatics had taken over the asylum, put it that way. And if that wasn't enough, Site-13 just so happened to appear in our universe through anomalous means, and yeah, if you want to know what happened there, please dare to read some of the exploration logs in this entry, because that is a horror story that you need to check out. Coming in at number 2, SCP-400. Alright, on the topic of monsters, let's get back to the true meaning of the theme and forget about corporeal smoke murderers and red pools of death for a moment, and imagine, if you will, one of the most vile and disgusting creatures in the entirety of the SCP Foundation. While actually by creatures, what I actually mean is an entire species of them, and by them I mean bugs. And gross bugs too. And I will forewarn you, this is possibly one of the most disturbing SCP entries in the entirety of the Foundation, and if you are a mother, I would highly recommend skipping the nightmare fuel that is about to ensue. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating, this is one of the most messed up entries in the entire Foundation. Okay, let's see what we can do. As the record states, SCP-400 is the collective designation for an anomalous species of arthropod that vaguely resembles the common pillbug. Whilst individually they are similar, they can be distinguished from the pillbug by the bright red striping patterns on their dorsal carapace. So what's the big deal? Bugs, right? Well, collectively SCP-400 is a parasitic organism which feeds on human mammary secretions. Human breast milk. SCP-400 feeds on human breast milk, and how does it get that? Jeez guys, SCP-400 are anomalously attracted toward infants that then burrow into them as they sleep and use the infant as their host, essentially becoming an active colony. During a 12-week period, the active colony then anomalously tracks the mother of the infant, and through their horrific design, they lull the mother into an almost catatonic zombified state, only able to care for the infested infant by breastfeeding it, and then they use the affected mother as another host for them to continue their vile and abominable life cycle. I'm going to stop there, because really there is much more to this particular entry, and it's one of the most difficult SCPs that I've read. If you dare, take a look at SCP-400, because whilst being entirely repulsive and horrific and just so damn terrifying and disgusting, it's also one of the most original horror concepts that I've seen in a while. So yeah, SCP-400 everybody, no thank you. And finally coming in at our number 1 spot, Taboo. Because while certainly SCP-400 takes the cake in pure gross outness, this particular entry, known as 4000 issue, or more colloquially simply Taboo, as so far as the actual horror creation behind it, this one is perhaps the most well-conceived entry in the entire Foundation. And also, it's going to make things a little difficult to explain, because in the head canon of this entry, essentially it cannot be described under threat of unleashing one of the most powerful key to class anomalies known to the SCP Foundation, and so it goes to great lengths in outlining the ambiguity of its potential consequences. But yeah, that's not going to stop us. Now let's see if I can remember my issue class training again. Oh yeah. As the record states, the SCP in question is an extra-dimensional forested area that exhibits numerous anomalous qualities, including a hazardous phenomenon of sorts. It is accessed by performing a ritual in the woods where you need to speak carefully, where a well then emerges and a path appears that guides you to the area that SCP-4000 exists within. This unnamed world does not adhere to the constraints of any linear space, and a variety of anomalous entities native to this nameless habitat have since been documented, and many of these monsters appear as quasi-humanoid entities with abnormal limbs, often displaying themselves behind the dense trees that occur in the forest. In truth, essentially SCP-4000 is what we would refer to as the Fae. You see, for those of you familiar with some of the founding headcanon of the SCP Foundation, as outlined in SCP-001 The Factory, before the Foundation were fully established, they were at war with a species of creatures known as the Fae, who were eventually all but wiped out during the Factory siege. You see, whatever weapon unmade them, it didn't actually destroy them entirely, but instead it banished them to this strange, bizarre and terrifying Glen that shall otherwise remain unnamed. Now, if you ever find yourself trapped in this Fae and under the threat of these anomalous creatures, remember 4 things. 1. Don't call anything by a consistent name, and 2. Don't answer to any consistent name. Names are powerful things, and if your name becomes someone else's, who's to say what else is theirs? 3. Always accept their gifts, but do not consume their gifts, and 4. If a ghost tell you it isn't a creature of the Fae, obey it. And yeah, I think that should be about it. I think. What if I forget, like I'm forgetting something, I think. Oh well. Well, there we have it, folks, our list for the top 5 SCP monsters you need to read about. Part 2. Whew, that was a doozy. Well, what do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree, have any more to add to this particular list? Then let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below, as well as any choice picks of your own. Before we depart from today's video though, let's first take a quick look at some of your more creative SCP based comments from our previous video. First up, Thonwin says, any more? Don't lie, Jack, we all know you're part of the O5 Council. Yeah, right, though. That would just be like so ridiculous, as if I'd ever be a member of the O5 Council. And finally, Catherine Pisces 210 says, thank you, Captain Jack, the SCPs are back, your way is the best way. Well, no, thank you, Catherine Pisces 210, and I'm glad that you're enjoying the SCPs being back, but my way is just one of many ways, and in the words of Fleetwood Mac, you can, indeed, go your own way. That's the best way. Your way. Anyway, on that note, unfortunately, that's what we've got time for in today's video. Just stick around all the way until the end. If you were a fan of this video, or just top 5 scary videos in general, then please be a dear and hit that thumbs up button, as well as that subscribe bell, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. As per usual, I've been your horror host, Jack Finch. You've been watching top 5 scary videos, and until next time, you take it easy.